Digimon Liberator has given the Digimon card game tons of cool things, including 6 new keywords. In this video, we'll be going over those 6 keywords, as well as ranking them from worst to best, as well as including just exactly how they're used in the card game currently. With all out the way, let's get started. In last place, we have the blue keyword Decode, which simply says, when this Digimon would leave the battle area, other than by battle, you may play at one of the specified level with Digimon's Digivolution cards without paying the cost. So if it says Decode Blue level 5, you can only play a Blue level 5 Digimon from its sources. Now you would think a keyword that gives you full immunity from everything except battle would be really strong, and in theory it is, except it gets completely shut down by source stripping.
Stop right there!
If you don't have the required level to play out, it does nothing for you. It also doesn't help that the main star that's showing off this keyword, Ryugumon, has had very little to no impact on the meta. While yes, there were variants of Blue Flare that ran Ryugumon at the top end so that you can give the stack protection, and then if Ryugumon left the field, you play out your Metal Greymon and use the on-play effect there. That version of the deck fell off for better level 6s. Also, the effect isn't really immunity, it's just more of a in case of emergency, hit the eject button. As let's just say you got DP minus, if I call it a blanket effect like Ruin Mode, then you'd play out your next body, but then that would immediately die as well. If Decode gave protection to the body that came out, in exchange for just, yeeting the top one, that would make it a lot better. But as it stands right now, the effect is very underwhelming, and this kind of shows with how it's been used in almost nothing. The keyword's purely dependent on what gets played out. Oh, but speaking of played out, since it is played by an effect, if your opponent has a Floodgate Rookie or is playing Virus Imperial, you're not exactly playing out your body. So it's also shut down that way as well. So while Decode may activate in almost every circumstance besides battle, if they got a Floodgate out, and you can't play things by effects, well, what's the point of having Decode? And as we go up the list, you kind of see that other keywords have a bit more strength, as well as their boss monsters that show off just how strong these keywords can be. Our 5th place keyword is the one found on Pyramidimon, Fragment, which is a keyword that says when this Digimon will be deleted, by trashing the required number of Digivolution cards, it isn't deleted. So in the case of Fragment 3, by trashing 3 sources, you're able to prevent deletion. Now you're probably thinking, how is this better than Decode? It protects against less things. While yes, Decode does activate in any circumstance besides battle, I think that Fragment is better. And that's mainly due to how Pyramidimon utilizes it and all the cards surrounding Pyramidimon. If you've seen our video talking about the resurrection of Digiburst, you'll know that I'm actually a huge fan of Pyramidimon and the way that its effects work. Whereas if it uses sources, which in this case would include by Fragment, it's able to activate the effect. So if you prevent the deletion, you're able to digivolve, gain back memory, and pop small bodies, for instance. And that to me has more utility than, say, play on level 5 that may or may not have an effect. Not to mention, in a scenario where it gets DP minus and deleted through game mechanics, you can actually do something really funny. You can still use Fragment, so you can give your opponent a goodbye gift of digivolve, popping, or gaining back memory, which I think is always just super funny. Fragment, again, in this scenario is only good thanks to Pyramidimon and the rock support it got in EX8, so if this keyword is ever tossed onto another Digimon that doesn't have effects where the sources are removed, it would probably be lower. But just because of the current utilization of the card, I think it's a step better than Decode. In 4th place, we have the red keyword of Progress, which is found on Medusamon, which says simply, when attacking, your opponent's effects don't affect this Digimon. This is actually a pretty strong effect. A complete protection similar to that of Magnemon X during the when attacking window, that is nuts. Combine this with how the deck is currently run for Medusamon, where it's just do a bunch of swings and go for game. It is a very powerful keyword. I'm going to swing and do all my checks, and my opponent attempts to hit me with a counter timing. Guess what? I'm not affected. I swing into security, and my opponent is from 2021, where he's still running Gaia Force. Guess what? I'm not affected. Basically, Progress is a built-in ADP on steroids.
Go even further beyond!
The only downside is, if you're not going for the full OTK that turn, you will be affected by anything that sticks on this Digimon. So let's just say you swing, you do your checks, and your opponent countertimes you and hits you with something like BT20 Alphamon or you can Ace, where it gives you minus 15k. Sure, you're hit the DP minus, but you're not affected, so you're able to swing through, do all your checks, but the second your when attacking window ends, the DP minus will hit you like a truck, and then your body's gone. So no follow-up there. Also, if you have effects that affected pre the attack, like this Digimon can't suspend, you're not able to then attack anyway. So it's kind of like, well, I need to be able to first swing in order to activate my protection. I do think this keyword has a ton of potential, as if you were to combine it with stuff like Security Attack +1, like with Medusumon, to swing for more checks, or something like Rush, you could then hard play Digimon and then rush and progress for game. I think that could be something that's very, very terrifying, but I'm also not sure if Bandai will ever print something like that. So for those reasons, I do think it's the best of the protection keywords, but it definitely is enough to be in the top 3. In third place, we have the yellow keyword of Overclock, which simply says, at the end of your turn, by deleting one of your tokens or specified trait Digimon, this Digimon may attack a player without suspending. Basically, it acts like a Digimon Superior mode, where it's able to attack without suspending, allowing you to swing potentially twice in one turn. Now, being able to swing twice is always really good, but I've always thought this deck was lacking in something. And it turns out Bandai thought the same thing, as we just got reveals for EX9 with Kageyamon, which gives the entire deck access to Alliance, so now you can swing for 2 checks and then overclock for a third one, really speeding the deck up. Outside of that, there are a couple of caveats with how overclock does work, as unlike something like BT12 or Digimon Superior Mode, which just says end of your turn, you may attack, you must pop another Digimon in order to attack, be it a token or the specified trait. So if you have just a single stack, you're not overclocking end of your turn. Thankfully, cards like EX7 Sandramon do make a token at the start of their turn, so you'll always have a body to potentially swing with, so long as it stays alive. Another caveat for Overclock is that it is limited to attacking players only, so you can't redirect the attack into a Digimon instead and potentially clear board. Maybe if they release a card similar to Structure Deck Shoto, where it's able to redirect the attack, that could help it out a bit more, but for now, it's limited to attacking players only. Outside of that though, I do think Overclock is really interesting, as now with the new EX9 stuff, alliancing 2 checks plus the Overclock checks with 3 checks in a turn is really strong, but is it stronger than the next 2 keywords? I don't think so. Interestingly enough though, we have seen other Digimon cards use Overclock that aren't yellow, like BT19 Seed Millenniumon, but that card really wasn't that strong and it kind of also sucked, so it's not even to say that the keyword was better utilized outside of its own color, which is again why it's not any higher on the list. Again, everything can change in EX9, but as of today, pre-EX9, it's third place.
Nice.
In second place, we have the green keyword of Vortex, which says at the end of your turn, this Digimon may attack an opponent's Digimon. With this effect, it can attack the turn it was played. Basically giving a Digimon rush and being able to attack the turn it was played has been very powerful, especially with cards like this one, Medieval Gallantmon, which can come out on the field for a cost of 7 and then swing an alliance for 2 checks into a big body Digimon. Even excluding Medieval Gallantmon, other cards like Zafagamon Ace have effects where on play you can suspend a Digimon, meaning you'll always have a target to swing into with Vortex. As for potential, I think this keyword has tons of it, as let's just say you combine Vortex with something like Retaliation, that could be a very powerful combination. It would almost act similar to how Raid Retaliation works on cards like Saberdramon. What's also nice about Vortex too is that by running the Structure Deck Shoto, you're able to change the attack target to something else, so you don't have to swing into a Digimon. Combining that with Vortex basically allows you to go for a final check for game by just hard slamming down a Digimon Vortex. And not to mention, even outside of all of that, we do see that there is other decks that are utilizing Vortex now that aren't green, like the newly released Wind Guardians, which have their face-up option card that gives all of their Digimon access to Vortex, and that is pretty strong. It definitely feels like Bandai is experimenting the most with Vortex out of the 6 new keywords. I definitely think that this is a keyword that we'll be seeing for a long time coming, but I think the first place keyword just ekes it out with a bit more utility. And before I get to first place, I just wanted to say, if you disagree with this list, that's totally fine. I think all these keywords do have utilities, except for Decode, that definitely sucks and is at the bottom, but everything else definitely has its place and relevancy. But if you disagree, let me know what your ranking is in the comments below. I think the best keyword so far released has definitely been the purple keyword of Execute, which just says at the end of your turn, this Digimon may attack. At the end of the attack, delete this Digimon. Your opponent's unsuspended Digimon may also be attacked with this effect. Now, why is this better than Vortex and Overclock? Well, you give purple access to what essentially is Blitz, as you can just pass over memory and still swing. Not to mention, the poster child for this effect, Necromon, has a whole bunch of effects that are relating to on deletion, so even though the stack is dying, you will get to be able to play another body, and then digivolve off of that. The one thing I think Execute could really use though is something like Rush, as if you were able to rush out, you could then execute, delete that body, play another one, digivolve, and then rush execute for that next swing. So I definitely think of all the keywords listed, Execute has the best potential for a bunch of cool and really dumb combos because that's just kind of how purple works, especially with being able to fill up the trash and then being able to go for big swings. Execute to me is also better than Vortex because you can always execute into your opponent's unsuspended Digimon as well as a suspended Digimon, and it doesn't need raid because it can just target anything on the field. If you were to combine Execute with something like Piercing, you then execute and then check for one security while also moving your opponent's bodies, or execute plus retaliation to again kamikaze into your opponent's Digimon and clear board that way. I think that execute has the potential to be just one of the strongest keywords around, and I think that currently with Necromon as its poster child, it's showing a lot of what it can do. If you want more information on why I think Necromon's a cool deck, we actually did a video about it just recently, which you can find linked below. And that's our list ranking the Digimon Liberator keywords. If this video gets enough likes and you guys like the idea, maybe we'll do a ranking of every single keyword in the Digimon card game. But anyways, I've been Pro Ninja, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.